Hi, it's Colli Talks, Colli Transformative Conversations. Yep, it's been a while. Actually, it's been close to 20 days since I actually have put out a talk, a conversation, transformative conversation. And there's been a reason. There has been an unfortunate loss in our family. And that has taken up a lot of time, not just for myself, but for my family. It has really shaken us, and we are very much missing our beloved. So today I'm back, and it's good to be back. Through all this that I've just been through, and I see my family going through, I think it's really a great reminder to ourselves that we what we believe and have is an answer to the way that it's a key really to our life. So, you know, we do not just approach life from a particular angle at other places, other times, like other people do, meaning people who listen to my podcast, you are at a level of consciousness. And so when I say what I just said, you do have a key to life. You understand that life is a state of consciousness. So the explanation of all your problems, the explanation of your difficulties, and the explanation of your triumphs in life boil down to this. Life is a state of consciousness. And that is the beginning and the end. That is the final step. All the other steps lead up to that in life. There's a gentleman called Isaac Pennington, and he said, all truth is a shadow, but the last truth. And the last truth is that life is consciousness. You are, and you have, and you do in accordance with your consciousness. That is the beginning and the end. There are other ways of looking at life, which are, well, I would say superficially correct, but ultimately, the final truth is that, which is life is a state of consciousness. So think about this for a minute. Your so-called physical body is the embodiment of a part of your consciousness. Your home is the embodiment of another part of your consciousness. And the kind of work you do or are doing, whether you are in work which you love or work which you hate, is the expression of your consciousness at that point. The kind of people you meet and the people you attract into your life are the expression of your consciousness about your fellow human beings. So if you came to me and told me that you can get along with people, I would tell you to get a card about the size of a postcard and write this on it. Like attracts like. Then put it inside your closet where other members of your family won't see it. And if you live alone, you won't see it. So put it in the closet, because when you're grumbling and finding fault, they could point their fingers, which could be very embarrassing. So put the card inside the closet. People come to me, my clients, they come to me and they go, oh, if you only knew the kind of family I have, if you only knew the kind of people I have to be with and work with. And I say, the law of being says like attracts like. So the ultimate explanation is that life really is a state of consciousness. Unless you change your state of consciousness, nothing else can change. All trouble, all disappointment, all depression, all limitation is a state of consciousness. People are trying to change the outer conditions, but leaving consciousness unchanged, and it cannot be done. It's impossible. It's an inside job. And the work I do with regards to People coming to me, with regards to family constellations, especially. Oh, sometimes we're carrying, the depth and the hidden loyalties. Those are not recognizable unless you actually do this type of work, right? So the only fundamental way to change things is to change your consciousness, because you always must and always will get the conditions that belong to your consciousness. You cannot cheat nature. You can drag to you through willpower certain things that do not belong to you, but you can only keep them for a very short time. The moment you take your hands off, they fly away. And that was interesting because that's the real cause of the financial collapse of 1929. Yeah. The prosperity that had been built was not true prosperity. People had been gambling on the stock market and had attracted or dragged to themselves prosperity that they were not entitled to by right of consciousness. And of course, they couldn't keep it. So the thing that I am really, really being a stickler about right now is people and their health. So this applies to health, right? You compel a certain part of the body to picture health for a short time, but if you do not have the consciousness of health, you cannot keep it. You heal a person of rheumatism and he has sciatica. You heal him of that and he has trouble with sight. You heal his sight and his lungs weaken, and so on and so on and so on. And these are not healings. They are temporary cures because they are attempts to put into the body something that doesn't belong there by reason of consciousness. I see it. I feel it. I go through it all the time with my clients. Health. I see it in very intellectual, very prosperous, very wealthy people, and they don't have health. And health is the key to all wealth. But health comes through the state of consciousness. So when you want to solve your problems or change your life, you can see at once that the only way to change is through your consciousness. Nothing, absolutely nothing can come to you with, in a permanent state. Nothing can stay with you permanently except what you are entitled to by your consciousness. I don't know if you know anything around Emerson, but he said, no man and no institution was ever ridden down or talked down by anything but by itself. People, they can slander you, right? But no one can hurt you except yourself. Nothing can wreck, say, a church or a center or a movement or a country except itself. Think about that with what's going on in the world. Think about what's really, really ruining countries. I know a woman that once said, I started a center and everything went beautifully until some horrible person spoiled everything. Well, I hate to say it, but, the horrible person who spoiled the center really didn't succeed. Then she didn't have a right consciousness for that work. If she would have changed her consciousness, the center would have been very successful. So think about this for a moment. Your body, your home, your city, your country. The universe is a picture of consciousness. Your private life outpictures your own consciousness. The natural life is the outpouring of the national consciousness. So you see how foolish it is to try to change the outer picture without changing one's inner consciousness. I have clients sometimes come to me and say, I'm broke. I need $100,000. I really want to make lots of money, or I want my life to change in this way. Or I've had a quarrel with somebody, which usually means that they expect the other person to bend to their will and come crawling for forgiveness. And they might even say things like, can you please, help me so that I can put this right? And I just tell them simply, you have to change your consciousness. I don't work with people to, to help them manifest money without them doing the change of consciousness. And as a matter of fact, you cannot manifest unless you embody and you feel it. You have to believe it and feel it. You can say all the affirmations you want. You can go to bed, you can say your affirmations, but if you don't really own it, if you don't really feel it, if you don't embody it, it is not going to happen. So you have to put those things right through changing your consciousness. I help people change their consciousness. And that's what I tell people. And some of them will smile and say, oh, my consciousness is really quite good. Other people sometimes are, you know, to blame my mother or my sister. And I answered, no, no, no. The real trouble is your consciousness. And all the time you're trying to work on outer things, leaving your consciousness unchanged, no permanent good can come to you. Just think about the movies, for example. Way back when, they would come to cities and say there was a picture announced and a tent was put up and the residents had never been to a movie and the tent became packed with cowboys and miners. And at a given moment during the showing and of this melodrama, the villain began to choke the heroine, and a cowboy in the front row pulled out his gun and fired 6 shots into the villain. Everyone laughed because in those days, a gunshot didn't mean much. There were only a few bullet holes in the screen. And of course, the picture went on as scheduled. But why do we laugh at the cowboy? You all laughed. What should he have done? Instead of firing at the screen, he should have turned around and fired into the projector. That would have stopped the picture. But you see, too often we try to change outer things instead of changing the inner. And if we are firing at the screen instead of the projector, nothing's going to happen. But when we start to change our consciousness, we are firing at the projector and then things really can happen. So it comes down to this. If you don't like the picture on the screen, then change the reel. And if you didn't like the picture you were seeing and would like to see something else, you wouldn't get a cloth and try to rub it off from a blackboard, right? You would take out the reel and put in the reel you want. And the scientific approach to all of this, to approach to life, if you do not like the picture you're getting, it's time to change the reel. Thoughts become things. Cause equals effect. And our thoughts become our reality. There's no getting away with it. Key is, though, are they our thoughts or are they borrowed thoughts and beliefs from someone in our lineage or someone that actually has trained, us to believe things that we don't necessarily hold true in our belief system? These are things we can explore together. And these are things I do explore because hidden loyalties are huge. I'm really a big proponent for people to find out if they are yours beliefs or if you're acting out hidden loyalties. So how do we change the real? Well, by rising in consciousness. That's the only way. The only real way is to be very practicable, about this. I've met people who, told me just how healing should be done. They understood the theory. They know how it should be done, but couldn't do it. They were purely theoretical. But the way to meet a problem is to raise your consciousness. If you do, the problem will disappear. And I'm not going to get into biblical, I'm not preaching here at all, but really, way back when in the Bible, the valleys always stand for trouble, right? Sin, limitation, the mount for uplifted thought and prayer for understanding. We must go, up into the mount. We must raise our consciousness. That's really what it means. So most people who have a problem concentrate on the problem. They take it to bed with them and stay awake all night, thinking it over and over and over. But let go of the problem. Rise above it. Rise above it in consciousness. And how can you do this? Well, go up quickly in a flash if you can, but you can always do it that way. You can. You will find that through concentration on your consciousness. If a diver goes to the bottom of the sea, he wears lead shoes, let's just say. But if he wants to come up to the surface of the water quickly, he would kick off the lead shoes. And it's the same with your thoughts. And then he would rise rapidly. So when we rise in consciousness, we kick off those lead shoes and then we begin to see our healing. But you have to heal the consciousness. There is no other way. The great key lies in the word, which, in the beginning was the word, and the word was, well, for some people, not preaching to the choir here, not, but in the Bible, the word was with God, and the word was God. So we want to remember how we use our words. Words are so powerful. The great creative word, I am. I am. Just think when you say, I am this, I am that, right? So all through history, humankind has felt intuitively that there is a way out if only it can be found. And all of the fairy tales tell the same story over and over again. Aladdin had a wonderful lamp. He rubbed it, received the things he wanted. You know about Cinderella. She was in the kitchen, miserable and unhappy, like so many others. And then something happened. A pumpkin turned into a carriage, and a pair of white rats turned into the white horses, and so on, and so on, and so on. But there must have been a change in Cinderella's consciousness first, right? Think about it and feel into that. So men and women have always felt intuitively that there is a way out, that it is not necessary to be angry and mean and resentful and bitter, that it is not necessary to grow old and die, that it is not necessary to fight and grab for prosperity and food and property. What is life worth, if living is to be a constant struggle for necessities? Men and women have always known that there is a way out, if only they can find it. They must have known that, this means all life to be noble and creative and joyous. It's true. So think about that. The word I am. When you say I am, you are calling upon the universe to do something for you, and it will do it. When you say I am, you are drawing a blank check on the universe. It will be honored and cashed sooner or later. And the proceeds will go to you. If you say, I'm tired, sick, poor, fed up, disappointed, getting old, you're drawing checks for the future trouble and limitation. And when you say, I am divine life, I am divine truth, I am divine freedom, I am substance, I am eternal substance, you are drawing a check on the bank of heaven, and surely that check will be honored. So remember, you don't have to use the actual grammatical form, I am, every time you associate yourself with anything or think of yourself as having anything. You are using the form of I am. The verb to have is a part of the verb to be. In very ancient languages, there is no verb to have. It is a modern improvement, like the radio and the automobile, and now, the electric vehicles, yada, yada. So I have means I am because you always have what you always are and do what you are. And that is the significance of I am. And more people have come to know about it than ever before. And it's wonderful. So think about this. Whenever, whatever you associate yourself with, you bring into your consciousness. What is the first thing we do when we talk? We say, oh, I am this. Or when you meet somebody and they say, well, what do you do? Well, I am a, right? Therefore, when you meet people, they might say, I am this or I am that. The neighbors across the street are, right? They are strangers to me because I am immediately, if you think of a baby, picks up on all the prejudices of the family. I am this, I am German, I am a Frenchman, I'm English, I am white, I am black, all these things, right? I am. So concentrate when you can on this because the child grows older. And of course, his family is interested in certain things. And then he also sets up his mind a whole army of prejudices. And he too belongs to a certain party because his father does, or he goes to a particular school or college or collects certain things of prejudice. And if he used I am to say I am for freedom, he should use it to break down the walls of resentment. It is your I am, whether you use it or not. But there is one thing that no one can do for you, and that is save your soul. Because no one can speak, I am for you. No one can say, I am for you or another. He would have to say, you are or he is. So teachers can write books for you. They can talk to you, but they cannot save your soul because they cannot talk for you. And when anyone uses I am for you, it becomes you are. It is your I am, and no one can use it but you. The I am is spirit in action. It is I am giving you new embodiment, new creation. And whatever you believe, you create. You are the I am. I am the I am for me. So I want to emphasize this point. You build your consciousness with your I am. No one else can do it for you, and you can't cheat. Sometimes you can cheat in business. Sometimes you can cheat in gambling, but you cannot cheat with the I am. Appearances count for nothing. Your consciousness is built with the I am. According to your I am, so are your conditions. You are not using the I am only when you think and speak. Perhaps a weakness in, a movement towards your thoughts, right? Have been a tendency to overrate. But you have to use them because they are a memorandum of what you think. So every action you do all day long, you are building into your consciousness. You will never build anything into your consciousness until you do it with practice. Meditating an hour in the morning after breakfast helps very little unless you carry the realization with you into your everyday living. If you lie or cheat or are selfish, then that is what you are building into consciousness. So I have dealt so much on thought, and we all have what we call words, but we haven't always insisted that it is a practical conduct all day long, which builds up that consciousness. People tell me all the time, well, I spend an hour here or I do this after work or before work or whatever, doing things, but then I forget. So we need to continue to build up our consciousness because we don't want to forget that. You build your consciousness by the things you do all day long. It is by such things that we will be remembered for, and we will be remembered for it by ourselves. So we judge ourselves by the consciousness we build because really life is a state of consciousness. So I want to say thank you. I will be back with guests next week. There's a lineup, and they're all looking forward to being with you as I am. The recordings are, as they say, well, it's a wrap, right? But they've been wrapped and they're ready. It's just, like I say, at a situation with the family, and bless his soul for moving on. So I want to say thank you for listening, and cherish your loved ones and cherish yourself. And remember, your life is a state of consciousness. Lots of love and soul hugs. Bye-bye.